Paper was like gold in medieval times.
Oh, not tobacco. Sugar.
That everything we thought we knew about the world might turn out to be completely wrong.
Ghana, West Africa. Nearly 200 miles north from the coast lies Kumasi, the capital of the Asante region, seat of one of the most powerful kingdoms of West Africa. The Asante have survived years of colonisation by the British and incorporation into the modern Ghanaian state. Kumasi Central Market, one of the largest in Africa, is at the heart of the Asante economy. Every day, up to 70,000 people come here to trade in everything from tomatoes to talcum powder. The market is dominated by women. It is they who decide what is sold, who sells it, and at what price. The only men in the wholesale market today are employed by the women as labourers and secretaries. The women have organised themselves into tightly run produce associations, and each association has an elected leader known as the Queen Mother, who with a committee of elders takes all important decisions. Ama is the tomato Queen Mother.
Na dia ne kan kwa fa ku sentiri tiru kura metewo no metewo ma enkrazefo metewo ma ekumazefo metewo ma nipa ba ko chese bi kura woni ya ne ba ya no na ntakwa bi asiri din no me fanye na akokra ko ma tune yem ewura mesro nya abotre ma adwumadie no enye pepepe na so nyanti ase o no so nyanti ase na bia e kana sa na e pepepe.
Next door to the tomato section is the Yam Wholesale area. This is one of the most important sections of the market, as yams provide much of the Asante staple diet. Ama Sewa is the Queen Mother. She is the most powerful woman in the market and the final arbiter of all disputes.
Yeah, sir, I dear be not so any among what a year. Let me a catch and idea why and why any year. Indeed, Sabaida as what if you pass over, not a board in here. Meeting my wife as I may be untold by Reno. The Baida board in it. Yeah, me, I'm meeting me, Mecca. Now, sir, Minam, yeah, Pangina, Haiti.
Nancy, Panya, ya na edewa ho. So ya panyina ede.
Depa.
Ani se.
Which the casa mo wa pefe wo twa ni pa dodo so a. Ese wo chune se wo ya panyini.
The plantain section of the market is expanding fast. It took the plantain sellers years of lobbying to get themselves a permanent patch to trade on. They only won this area after they had appealed to local politicians to kick out the resident Nigerian traders. A produce Queen Mother's authority depends largely on how she got her position in the first place. Oba was never elected. She got to the top by courting members of the Asante royal family and local politicians.
What's all your word too? Menim penny for them and quite any Akrani and Qua. Ye be prayer for a man. Your quack jam or him or he did our word too. There's your quatantima, and your quachiano, and so him also your word too. Do I him on a mediano? Santine, I was Sachan. Santima, I was Samachan. You would never say. Me, what about you? Minukumasi, heard in mine, body.
Market trading is a family business. It's rare to find a woman trading alone. Invariably, there's a sister or daughter nearby. In the tomato section, family influence is very strong. Amma, the tomato queen mother, has 2 daughters who are both tomato retailers, and they constantly complain to their mother about the high prices and the difficulties they have in making a profit. Tutua is the youngest daughter and her mother's strongest critic. There's enormous pressure to fix the price of tomatoes quickly. A couple of hours in the scorching heat and they begin to perish. The tomato queen mother delegates price fixing to members of her committee of elders. It is they who negotiate the price with the women who bring the produce from the rural areas. Kumasi is not a tomato growing area, so the price is usually high and bargaining fierce. The woman on the right has brought a lorry load of tomatoes from Accra. The 3 women arguing with her are the Tomato Association's price fixers.
Madam, I'm for the boy.
It took an hour to knock down the Accra woman's price to 160 cedis. It's only when the price is fixed that the retailers, who've been waiting around patiently, can buy the tomatoes and hire labourers to carry them away to the retail market. The Plantain Section. Unlike the yam and tomato queen mothers, who were elected by their members and so have popular support for their iron rule, Oba, the plantain queen mother, has a permanent struggle to maintain order. 5 plantain sellers who accused her of taking more than her fair share of the profits recently tried to overthrow her, but she used her political influence and held on to her job. She's now finding it difficult to settle one of the many fights and disputes that break out in her section. The dispute has broken out because the woman in white has been accused of selling rotten plantain. Feelings are running high, and most of the sellers have ganged up against her in support of the woman in green, who has refused to pay the price she originally negotiated. The case has been reported to Oba. She has to maintain order and settle the dispute, which is as much about her authority as it is about rotten plantain. The majority clearly agree with Oba, but the woman in white has powerful support. Although dissatisfied with Oba's judgment, the woman grudgingly pays her fine. Oba has just managed to restore order among her women, who constantly challenge her authority. Asante society is matrilineal. This means that the king inherits not from his father's side, but from his mother's relatives. A British-educated barrister, King Opukoware II, was elected according to Asante tradition. One of the most important factors in his election was the support given to him by the Asante Queen Mother, the most powerful woman in the kingdom. All members of the royal family are related to the Queen Mother, and when a king dies, it is the Queen Mother who nominates his successor to the Committee of Elders, who make the final decision. Unlike our society, sons do not inherit property from their fathers. Instead, wealth passes from a man to his sister's sons. This should mean that the sister has considerable authority, and that women in Asante have more status and wield more power than elsewhere. In practice, for the ordinary woman it can mean great hardship, because if her husband dies, his property goes not to her and her children, but to his sister's children, and she is left with the task of supporting her family. This gathering is part of the funeral celebration of a member of the royal family. The palace is still at the heart of Asante politics, and Oba, the plantain queen mother, and her colleague from the Yam section, Amasewa, represent all the market women at the funeral. They make the most of such an occasion and make both business and political contacts, as well as enjoying the dancing. Just as the Queen Mother is crucial to the appointment of the king, the same pattern usually applies at lower levels of the political system. In every village, there's a Queen Mother who nominates the village chief, but this unusual power that women have constitutionally is unrelated to their domestic role, which is one of subservience to men. Most women have little power and can only earn status with childbearing and age. Men in Asante marry polygamously, sometimes as many as 5 or 6 wives. A Coups is the senior or first wife. Asante women often live separately from their husbands, so each day a Coups cooks food for her husband and takes it to his house. Amanimo is his junior wife. She too lives separately from her husband, an important man in the village who lives with his uncles, brothers and nephews.
Just say, we nipa we area back one, 10 biano. Why in ye pepe? Just say, Oba Chima, and you can say, where the animal. Na say, any class where the animal, that's all area back up. No Chima, one on quara, move here, move better and modidi. Entino, Sebema, walk on our area near. Way Chima, we bear the animal. Way ya dear. We befem kwarano je nipa wo hwe ni ye doso nti so yiri no mienu dia ansa na ba akokwafu mu no na ba akofie na wonya hoho a wono so aboa nti me de me fe say ya Asante fo no awade mienu
afame ho mu no nkumhwi kan enu onu abembe afame ho mu no nkumhwi kan ba ti se mi jena we ma afame ho mu no nkumhwi kan be me wato me so bo matana ho ma bere o Beme watu mesobo amatara homa bere sa wo mpemi eja mi wa kwankwa burubi afa mu mu nkumwi kan ya na me na o chere kwato ja ya ponchere ni ahwiriye ibia na me o chere kwato ja ya ponchere ni ahwiriye ibia na me abasa ukunu de fero awa abane nyi so anu no awa re bone te santo magwe me ko yi fira ameni ewu amene ni ma beso yonkoi ko yi me fira ameni ewu amene ni ta wo kure ko yi me fira ameni ewu amene ni.
Asante women have no illusions of romantic love. For them, marriage is important because it provides them with children. An Asante woman's most important relationship is with her children and with her mother, not with her husband.
Obati se mi jena hoye ma famu hu kumwi kan me watu me so bo matana ho ma bere o me watu me so bo matana ho ma bere o sa wo mpemi eja mi wa kwankwa buru ma famu hu.
Although a woman like Oba can settle the most difficult disputes in the market, in the home she would have no such role.
Enti me yere ne de ma no mienu ba ye ba kon kwambia so ne ketrema me sen kura ko ne yakun a me meko akobo papa ma ne se me yere no mienu se yakun me hwe me ametena se afre wo no ahwe wa wudi fo no meko aka kire wo busu
no so be pua bonten asre panini bi anakoda bi se dia ben mesra mo monse patanto kwan ma me efiti se because so panini mu a obekase mabo akuma no amabo no sa na mkoso panini su mu a asemu aba ndi me ko freni pa pontinsu ni bi na wo ba wa bepeta ntokwa na mame na wadwudwu wonu mienu bo amame na obia ekoko ato ne yamu no ansa na matemase ma frɛ ayire panini no ma frɛ ayire kuma no so ma bisanse eye den na semu yaba na obia kire ni diem na ne obekire mu ane de enye maka kire ne se ne woyeye no mempe na woyɛ no mempɛ ɛnu nti no woanyɛ ne yie wo na wɔpanini pakuma ne kyɛw kyɛ sɛ ɛdan mu asiesie no no ɛnto panimu biara nim me na meyere ne wɔno mmienu na nteaseɛ yɛ adwuma a na panini no na wapaa kuma ne kyɛw na ɔnso so na ne koko adwo na ne koko adwo awie no maka kyɛn sɛ wokra aba maame pata no ɔsɛ saa me ma akosua mmienu a na akosua mmiɛnsa ne kura kuma nso oh mebɛto mfomso ne bi a aba yɛkuru nti de kyɛw ɔde akyɛ no anam magye wokosua mua na wagye no kosua mua ɛhɔ no ɛyɛ meme bɛrima no sɛ mepɛ ne fɛdeɛ a ɛyɛ meme ka ɛwɔ kokoam.
Oba's experience of marriage is typical. She was the second of her husband's 3 wives and had 2 children by him. The marriage was never happy.
Over to you. Over to you.
Asantes regard their mother's village as their home for life. When women marry, they often remain in their mother's home and live separately from their husbands. Nobody can ever be thrown out of their maternal home, where 3 or 4 generations live together. The market women regularly visit their villages, and Amasewa, the Yam Queen Mother, although independent and successful, never misses an opportunity to return home to see her family.
Ahani ya wo me ne me papa nyina me ma me na me yakwala no me ma me ka be bi ntem wo fie ha yi na oka ba bia no ka me ma me nua baako na no wo hwe me a na me nyini ye me papa ni nyina ne ma me nyina ye wu ntam ti amama nko school ti me ni te ye no ano na me nua panyini no de wo ye hima no America no obefa me ko Kumasi de wo ye ha hima no America no ona na me yakwara obefa me ko Kumasi okotete me a na me nyini ye no na me ware be ma baako me ne wo ma enwotwe ka ye wo nkono baako wuyi nti dia akari nyina no ye wo ho nwotwe nyina ye wo ho aye nyina afi maame baako papa baako ne munu ano na panyine no soso oboa me kakra me ye hwe nkwala ne school akire no wuye me kunu no emuya na mde kosua ba yire to ba yire no soso na me ton da bia nti eno a ba yeto no mu no a na mde hwe emofra no school ewa mre no ukun so fa ba wo panka mpata ne yesire dumiensa na wo pawasemu a obama wo bia Paul 9 nti sa mre no opata me Paul 9
nenti so opata wi a na kire wunso wote hwa na akase a ade de ni se mepene so a wutimi kofasem no yasem ka bie
so obema ne ye wade na hye wo na se wo ba no bia wo ba ye no wo mpene so wa se wapata maje na enso se bia ekwane amde me fa so no me mpene sa ni wutimi ka
because bia ye wo ayi bi wo akanman mu se
bia ya che na no oh wona de ye hihye hihye bia na awotwe na akra wo se obekọ ne yere wo
Kwame Ajiman is one of the most important men in Amasewa's village. He lives strictly according to Asante custom, but he finds it more convenient not to operate a weekly sex rota. He prefers to keep his wives guessing as to which one he will choose to sleep with.
Obi te se me hihye na asechire ni se ahoho ogum so odoso e ma no so ka kire wo hihye na no a no mo aye jealous se nyam na me da ho nti menye e kan bi so no mo ka enti bra ne oti no ha na ne oti me ha no de oda me nche no ebi a me ho ahoho odoso ebi an se ebi aben no wa ye aduane aba ahoho ya adoso mo se me kukuruma ahoho no ne edidie na matema se besa nko ka kire ne se ahoho abanti no foforo bra me obewie pepe pam de be ma mi bia mi bedidie na foforo nam kwam ma san de mai won san nya foforo a afede ne wa bre enti me ko ka kire ne wana ho no a wase nyam na me da ho ne onye no san obeka kire wase nyam na me da ho enti de oda ho no onso no ne wa ho
wo tini fie na mehihye nda no ama wo chese wo ebia na otwemienu wo da ha na otwemienu wo susu da ha na otwemienu nti esene memini na se wo beda ya wuduru a wo tam no so na atwemienu pepepe na wo kọ no bedsheet ane ya so ne entima no wo sisa ko na wo kosie na wezo ba no wonso ne de set nti wonso ba wonso wod ne de abisiesie so wonso wo kwa na wonso ayire de ko nti tam bia no wo be ma no wo wudi entima mienu dabua no wo hia mienu nsa na wo bedsheet ne pillowcases ni nyina dabia mienu se woni ba ko so a wo ye ba ko na woni ne mienu a wo yire no so won beti ase nti wo ade be tiam na tuo no wo be yi akosi atoso no de aba wo so kwa saa no so be ye no enti no de enso wo ho no ande anya de a din bia firi wa
wo mo pepa na mom eduru kwan bi so a wo mo mpe aso kire ni se oba bia kire ne nan se o be kan ho
o be ma de wo kan
efiti se bia de odi kan no tenase no wa bre wo ho why ye, when you be beating. Now, coffee be a back and who dear one when you own yabium. A mubachemian, a famba choir for Bacan, Nene neat, a yania. So on. No mom said, who bearman who to Yanua. Ubonsa was ye, me brother. And to walk of Fabia become one, with the Yamias. No, all my woman do my Anian son.
There are many aspects of Asante traditional marriage and inheritance to which the women object. They believe the system makes men irresponsible as husbands and fathers. But market women have overcome this problem. Trading has given them financial independence.
Now they show when they show ma. I can't say Asante. You do a fatty and many, yes, yadi. And it's a one, yes, idea. Now, who come? And then the Amatus, ya boy, ya woman, and the yes, man. And the actual man.
And Pepe says, I always. It's me, Basse. Ya gana hase. So no kunukura bobra. Never many with yawa. Nena bush and for near Pamua free bear many fee. It is a woman, no one, you know, Anya Duma. Never be Sabasa Bearman will near Pamua. What the Aromano Nana. Who by Nanti to say will be a Sabi Wabo down. And Minton a man, ya near Beria, ya year, who I ye Dumano.
Lemon, I hire Wale Bibli, if you were on the year 9. Oba wo buy the blade. Want to make sure man ya. Yes, so go ban. But more than also far boy man. Don't make sure ba.
Na man kura fa nkwara no a wo hwe ya nhwe ya kura gise wa na abọ ho mo de na hwe nkwara no o ya kura so no de na nyem e ba no kura nya de bia nya se wo na afọ so na wo hwe ba no enti na Asante ya bere ni ahwe ya ma no.
The women have made a virtue out of necessity. Relatively powerless in the domestic sphere, yet often left with total responsibility for their children, the women have taken control of the market, often working 12 hours a day with their babies on their backs. Successive governments have tried and failed to break the market women's monopoly. Their main source of strength is their stubbornness and their determination to resist government directives, whether on prices, taxation, or licenses to trade. Men used to trade alongside the women in the market, but over the years the women were so successful at trading that they've driven the men out. Yam Wholesale is the only Asante man left in the tomato wholesale area, and he got his job because his grandmother was the old tomato queen mother.
I did say, Mamma, and I said you and one say I didn't have his son, no member. And can jump party, the bomb must be a match to travel. Then made you to say, oh, made you say secretary, you know, we say no keep on my accounts. Senna say, in your letter be a baby, I'm sure I'm trying to say, you may be a bar. I have found my mom, I'm sure I'm quiet. I had to say, if you are semi, you am young, and you want no more. I feel so many my man, and ya but trepa. So to me, my juma cha, who are but trepa.
Most market women are illiterate, unimpressed by the secretary's ability to read and write. They're contemptuous of men's attempts to trade.
Our catcher. And what regard for my head do feel. And my head car, ever see a fish or a curse, and my man and man be. Man, studies or case was one about the other batch in a womb. Nah, to make a send a womb, none, no womb, no fee and frigina. No, sis, 1 year crabby womb. I feel no man start to say, yeah, pro, no, yeah, cat. Yes, eh, that's I may work on craft fashion made it to the Yakima. We were the father, I pray to you. Yentimi. Yato yansakura Frank Craft one class and craft way. Meno, men craft for one cry. Yenya and craft for one cry. Yentimi dinkuta. Yato yansa Frank Craft one. Abusa sa kwamba na namso di adwuma yi. Ya try mu so. Kwana di adwuma yentimi. Mena me ka try. We friend. Daddy so. Ada ni yentimi ayo. Yeah, this is casu de amamo. To mango see gumo ohuru no kwai. Ahwa bia. Body agua ohuru se si aton no. Anam agua ohuru se wusi aton.
Chaza wo mu ni hu answer.
Dabi. Office dia. That's about the office. Na yentimi nya sika ncha de oti office. Na me hwa mo oti ase se. Adwuma ni adwuma. Ya ntane ntuma, ya nko school, ya nya adwuma bia kasa adwuma yi ho. And you said, a now, no, so be a Benya and Pano bed, you're first of a home. Say a man in tea. Oh, just a one question. Wouldn't more say, Jumay, who took your share, one super alcohol. One number grassy, or to Taban and Famo Koba. The obedient to the end, I say, now so I saw what Union answer say. May baby for something to call college were ye. And to never yes and poor medical capre. Major capre. Namabomodre. That's a manity. Side here. Now, me bay, where ye are, Miss May. Just a man who cried and made my way a minimum. Me buy some at night. Maybe also, you cry on the oil rabbi, cotton to magazine. No one near no year ran and I saw a quabble channel. No, Marino. I just say yes and say, like a crabby. Near the heaven. And Timmy was that time I won't be around making me a remedy. My hair. Sanity, and the obedient on your meeting. Woman Yaquano, and yes, I see go over the vanity. I know be back of intimate. Now, Jumano, and young Juma, no be sure how President Minisaka and Yansa. I can't go over a while when I'm sent to my city in Mukra and intimidate among the scamper.
The women's ability to carve out a good living from trading at a time when the Ghanaian economy is in a state of collapse has often left them open to a charge of profiteering. These criticisms make it crucial for the women to stick together and present a united front.
And Nakura, ya, a bigura, yes, attitude, and Nipa Bako pet, a cram at Lassie, then Nipa, and you the time, if you are by him about into the Srammo, Mummy and Fed on the Korea, Niam Fem Yagman, Niam Pesby Bicacra, Yadibama Yama, Yadibashi and school, and Uncle here. As a Kaya Yabi, and find Yaga Padia Biarensiwa.
Even Amasewa's authoritarian rule and her appeals for unity cannot prevent disputes. In the market, it's every woman for herself, and pressures to make a profit are such that fights often break out. On a typical day, accusations fly that someone is undercutting or overpricing. For Amasewa, the Yam Queen Mother, her main task is the struggle to maintain order in the daily battle to make a living. This woman is complaining that some of the middle women are breaking the rules by outbidding each other to buy scarce yams.
I'm young, fine. I thought by it. I feel by it. I'm by it. Boy, Dennis will be a body by it and one on. No, be so French, no, so be a cotomon. And no, I'm by it and a boy.
Auntie, Papa Jamia, Matrilineal, I'm Aqua so, the Aqua Slet, a queer form, Sabay, and my end, and the board, and Tia Tisha my end, to a man, none of the Catamia, the Peneso, the back of here, the Aqua Slamai. Matrilineal. And then penning for that, and I say, the action I saw.
Na ɛboɔ no a wɔbɛtɔn ma yɛ aboɔdere no yɛmma kwa akora ma obi yɛ ntɔn aboɔdere
Davida mo kwansofo nso a mokɔ kwansoɔ no ɛnyɛ sɛ mode ba a yɛtɔ ne nti na mokɔ yɛ na mo akɔtɔn aboɔden na firi na ɛde korɔ no aba akora se biribiara mmerɛ fam nti wode bi a wobɛtɔn aboɔden a wode bɛba ha biara no yɛbɛtɔ no fo ama abɔ ka wɔkyena wo kora wontɔ no saa bi
yɛbɛsɔ ayɛ akyerɛ sɛ obi a ɔde bayerɛ bɛba a ne bɔɔdene no yɛntɔ no abɔ wɔnnua ɔde baayɛ no so ɛbɔ wo a wɔkɔ wirɛ bɔ a wobɛtumi atɔ ade a
Asantes were among the greatest warriors in Africa and once ruled over an empire almost as large as the modern state of Ghana. Asante men cling to the memory of their glorious past and remember their traditions in festivals and celebrations. All the trappings of their once great kingdom are on show. The keys are a symbol of the wealth of the king, who at all festivals brings out his ceremonial gold. Despite the fact that more than 60% of Asantes are now Christian, at a festival, the priests and priestesses who still believe in and serve traditional Asante gods cover themselves with white clay as a symbol of purity. Although Asante tradition is very strong, this celebration is no more than a ritual put on at the request of the Accra government to welcome the wife of the American Vice President. The market queen mothers are quick to see the political importance of such an event. In order to maintain their control of the market, they know it's vital to keep in favour with both the traditional Asante royals and the officials of the modern state of Ghana. The real struggle between the traditional and modern societies is likely to be fought out by the next generation. Even though economically Asante women have won considerable power, in the domestic sphere, girls are still given an upbringing that prepares them for the more traditional role of wife and mother.
Ya wani ave na abe ko school ubu ku ni o pen watre o wadroni fofu wa ma no we amna wa mani o
Baby Abena is the granddaughter and daughter of market traders. When she's 3 months old, she'll go every day with her mother to market until she's old enough to go to school. When they reach school age, girls learn about great Asante heroines of the past. Ya Asantewa, the Queen Mother of Ejisu, led the Asante warriors in their last great battle against British colonization in 1901. She's a heroine to every Asante schoolgirl.
Dasio. Rogroiko, Yasantua. On my Bessie, Premonde, so am I,
Away from school, Asante girls are expected to help their mothers with the housework.
Miss Soria, if it has me, me kata. I'm a bed to have a menu. No, my pet, Diaby, Iri. If we are, no, my proper, a dem. I be pate busune in Cunyaso. We are, no, my bad, I. My be proper, a duhonomo. Valanda so. A duo valanda so. My proper, a fee, a ho, enina. We are. Na maso ejano din so ama menana ana so bi amenenete owie na so dwale wi a eche se misuma kosebi ededwale
ansa wa besku
ai se ba se aduane so na ebe no ansa meno ansa na besku nso a no ana madibi sense ya no aduane so na magiska.
Education is making girls less and less prepared to accept their traditional roles. Coups and Alina are 20 years old and will be getting married later this year.
Me mama ware me mani nyi ho. If we say, mitmu say ya mama nom, omo ani nyi omo aware no ho. E dia sesi a me feel say mema no ne ma ne nyina say yen ye gina brain so. Omo nyina akọ school. De yen ye pese e be ware omo no. Omo so ani abie. Omo hu se na area city nti minti ase de nti e wo se be ma be fa me no kofa oba foforo ka ho if we say e be ma nioma pia enkoso yi nti me de mani nji sa aware no ho
ai asante ha se de e ma no esom mema ne yi ansa na oba kra wa kwa ware no ye wo bibia e fre no bragro sa bragro no se ye group bia ye ma hu se we be ma no e wo se wo som no bibi ti say ye ma wo e hyedem manko say eduru sa mene ma wo hyedem ma e ma ye bi besum de na nso ye kire wo se de nyema wo kwa wo na okunu betie ti se wo kunu kodware a e wo se o se nsu kosi na dwae obeda wo se wo de ne na si aboba so na wo hore ne na ho na pepa ho ansa na ono wada na obekwa dwan ba no aye aduane asi ho no mo kama no aprapra dem bibia wo so na pa wo na wo ye okwadwuma ba se bia oba miwura opedien aduane na obedi na obisa no wa ya ama nti asante ha se die ema no som emema ne pa
na wo fese sa die ye na wo be pese da chi sa na obe ye wuku
me die me pese be me sa
o pese adan
if you say me fi say yes na be ma no mama som no dodo na se de sia no sanka bia me busa be ma ne bibia bihia bibia na me busa na dia ene ka ha me se me som ne sa ne bia me se me ye madwuma me kwa adwuma wo so be kwa adwuma be ba se esa me ntimi ntina fie enu aduane ne mma ti bia time a wo be pon adwuma ba na fe na me so ma pon adwuma be ba nti esa na se akwa nti me mpese be ba sa
Yes, I can and kill Munua. Then Yamia Mamma Tire. So, Yan Hanu, Yabi Brimha, Yamia Farm Mataya, who said, Yan Smuman. Was he and Yam some people say, and Sanya Didi. And he is someone, Necapra Benyano, yet my year said, yet could do an alpha yet Janamaya, Nieni. And tea Bama will be sending Jahon, no near it. Now, Brano, so now, boy, here. Not O'Brien.
Womu didra womu wosika ne adia womu nsukra ne wosika na wosika no sa be no aduane nti da bi ni ho a won kasa me nso na me na mbako homandi won su kwa no aduane
enti mi masa
je won timi kan ya mbla kwa so be kasa ya kire wo
enti so we no me ya mienu a won me nyina ka ho we de we yakoto atare abre ne ba no na won so fo so no so akoto no so won so de abre ne ba enti no se wote wono amakọ makra we betimi anu aduane de abro sai se manfa nkoma na obeka se we be no akọ nti obepe we ya che nti aboama obi aso foso na so so wonya ahonka wo
Asante market women are certainly resourceful. They dominate the economic life of the region and are determined not to give up the only area of their lives where they're totally independent of men. There have been many attempts to break their domination of the market, but so far no government has successfully controlled them. The market women who sell imported goods undoubtedly hoard their commodities and make enormous profits. But those selling locally grown produce rarely become very rich. There have been several coups in Ghana since independence, and each time the market women have been targets for attack. Since the last coup on New Year's Eve, Kumasi Market has twice been partially burnt by soldiers. Prices have come down, but a lot of commodities have disappeared because the women refuse to sell at government-controlled prices. Once again, the market queen mothers are under attack, and the new government has pledged itself to control them. Oba, the plantain queen mother, is particularly vulnerable because she was a strong supporter of the previous regime. But Oba is one of life's survivors. She's been overthrown before, but has always managed to bounce back to power.
Na chese e fa me no nam go shower hene wono na nwuma ye de ba ya ne se anwuma de ba etumi a me pagya am se monto ma me wo bati you wasani aba wo bati you wasani aba wo bati you wo bati you wo bati you mami wo ba wasani aba wo bati you wo bati you wo bati you mami wo ba wasani aba wo bati you wasani aba wo bati you